The news of a shooting involving a former president and current presidential candidate is jarring for people, no matter where their politics lie. Fox 4's David Satendri has been talking with people and an expert about this moment. David.
Yeah, Blake, and just about an hour and a half ago, we were over at Clyde Warren Park in downtown Dallas, just a few blocks from here, and there were some people who had no idea about what happened to the former president until we told them. As we broke that news to them, you could just see the puzzling expressions on their faces as they were processing all of this information. This is certainly one of those moments for many Americans in which they will always remember where they were at when they heard about what happened to former President Trump. A calm Saturday evening at Clyde Warren Park, where people are just learning about what happened 1,200 miles away.
It's just savage.
Hard to believe that it happened, and I can't believe it's going on.
Look what happened.
Many people still trying to process the chaotic scene in Butler, Pennsylvania, where former President Donald Trump was grazed by a bullet while on stage at a rally.
This is shocking and sobering, and it's the kind of event that really transcends partisanship. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you love Donald Trump or hate him, nobody wants to see political violence against a current or former president of the United States or against any elected official.
SMU political science professor Matthew Wilson says what's being investigated as an assassination attempt of the former president is yet another dramatic moment in one of the strangest political races in U.S. history.
We have a former president trying to reclaim the office. We haven't had that in over a century. We have the current president of the United States in a position where many in his own party are trying to force him out. That's extraordinarily rare. We have the former president who is now, for the first time in American history, been convicted of felonies. That's unprecedented. We have the current president's son having been convicted of felonies in this cycle. Just event after event after event, and now this tragic assassination attempt just set this campaign completely apart from anything that we've ever seen before.
Were you shocked that this happened?
Yes, I was completely shocked and appalled about it.
Where does all the wrong stop? Like, where do we actually start seeing each other as people again? Because that's where all of this is so messed up, is that we don't stop and actually just think like that's someone's father, uncle, brother.
And remember, all of this happening just 2 days before the Republican National Convention, in which former President Donald Trump is expected to formally accept his party's nomination. Blake, back to you.
Okay, David, thanks.